Guys, I've been training for many, many years, okay? And one of the things that I've picked up along the way, just like you will have done, okay, or you probably do right now, is joint pain. But one thing that makes me pretty different to you is I've always gone in search of the why. So a lot of people, I've been there where you put elbow sleeves on when you're training or knee sleeves, and there will come a time when occasionally you're in a phase where you're picking up a little bit of joint pain, but it's all about knowing how to get rid of it. It's also, you need to know why that's accumulating. Now, in some bodybuilding environments, simply in a really hard phase of progressing some of your lifts and getting really strong, you're putting an insane amount of load through joints. And a bit of a byproduct of training with super heavy loads and super phases until you change phases is a certain amount of tendon pain, joint pain, especially with the speed of development of muscle tissue. However, if you're not really there yet, I mean, a lot of my videos, I kind of cater for the beginner, intermediate lifter. The reason being is because that's who we see on a day-to-day basis. And you've got to remember that, especially with some of the bodybuilders, a lot of them are very genetically gifted. So, you're looking at them on a day-to-day basis, looking at what they do, but it's not really relative to you. So I try and talk to you, the person that often struggles to build muscle tissue, struggles with joint pain, back pain, the day-to-day issues that people have. So let me use the elbow joint for an example. If you're going to train the biceps, okay, we basically have a range, okay, by which we will train the bicep, looking at what I call the distal and proximal ranges. So you have the distal part of the bicep, which is furthest away from the shoulder joint, and then you have the proximal, which attaches up here. And when you train, often a lot of people have a couple of exercises they like for biceps. So let's say you're doing a curl, okay, these classic leaning back curls, all right? In the bottom position here, you're not really doing much, and at the top, you're probably contracting. What ends up happening for a lot of people is you become very weak at this distal portion of the biceps. So if your biceps are very weak down here and you're curling a hell of a lot, you're often curling through the elbow joint and very rarely curling from the biceps themselves. So you curl from the shoulder and then you curl from the elbow joint. Well, the biceps themselves, because they're not massive, are gonna take a lot of hammer, especially if they're not getting stronger and all you're doing is using more momentum. So what happens over time is the joint gets that much wear and tear. You can pick up tendonitis, you can pick up shoulder pain, impingement pain, and you're like, why is all this happening? What have I got to do to get rid of it? Well, honestly, guys, a lot of the time when it comes to joint pain is you got to look at the reason why the joint is painful in the first place, and it's always down to the fact that the muscles are so freaking weak. You've got this range that a muscle is, or you have the opportunity to get stronger at different ranges. So we have a look at this stretch range, this distal part of the bicep here, and this proximal part. We have the quads. We have the quads up closest to the hip and then the quads closest towards the knee. So again, we've got distal, which is closest to the knee with the quads, and proximal, which is up towards the hips. If you are weak at any of those ranges, you've got to remember that the joint nearest towards that is going to take some hammer because you're not able to contract with the muscle. So if you've got joint pain at the knee joint, or you've got joint pain behind the knee, especially for something like hamstrings, you've got to go back over some of my execution videos for the hamstrings, for the quads. You've got to go through execution videos for the triceps and biceps, because invariably when there's elbow pain for many of you, and when there's knee pain and all these other joints that are inflamed, it's because you're overusing those joints. I've talked at great length about the triceps. If you're pushing with the elbow joint rather than contracting the triceps, this elbow joint's gonna flare up. You're gonna get tennis elbow, you're gonna get tendonitis in the elbow, and you're gonna see a physio, trust me. And you're probably gonna spend 6, 7, 8, 9 months doing the same repetitive treatment, because what you're not seeing is development to a muscle. And another thing with joint pain is if you've been training very heavy but the muscle's not growing, it's a very clear sign to you not even using the muscle, because a muscle will grow. Now, I'm not trained anybody who didn't have some medical issues, who couldn't build tissue in certain areas. So remember, you've got to learn how to execute a muscle from the proximal and distal ranges, closest and furthest away from the body. You need to vary your exercises, but most important, you need to lock into the muscle itself. And then over time, you'll find that you're not overusing the joints to move exercises, you're using the muscles themselves. One of the quickest ways that I've got rid of elbow and elbow pain for myself, knee pain. I mean, only recently I was doing a lot of squats, front squats, which are a lot of knee dominant exercises. And I'd taken out leg extensions because in a phase of my training, picked up a bit of knee pain. Changed my training, started off with leg extension, took my front squats out and worked the quads more closer to the hip. So I got that balance, and guess what? No knee pain. So you've got to look at your execution, guys. You've got to use the videos that I post on this channel and take benefit of them and take use of them, because if you do have pain, you'll find it disappear when you actually execute the muscle and get strong throughout the full range of the muscle over time.